Hello, welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith, and today I am bringing you the Robin Hobb Book Tag. I was tagged in this by the delightful Stephanie over at Ms. Richards Reads. I will link all of her stuff below. This is an original tag from her, so all credit to Stephanie. I'm very excited to do this. As you may know, if you've been watching for a while, I read pretty much all of Robin Hobb over the last couple of years, and I had a wonderful time with it. Really, really great. And this brought back a whole lot of memories, and there's some really fun prompts in here. Stephanie's very mean and has put in a lot of like, your favourite X, Y, or Z, which is a terrifying question, so I'm excited to go through these. Prompt number one is the skill, your favourite magical ability. And I had to ponder about this because you know I love a magic system, and I really do enjoy a magic system that is just you have magic and you can kind of do what you want around it, and there are some rules and some things that are more flexible. And the one that really first came to mind for me is actually the one that I would most like to be real in some ways. That is the wishing system from Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I'm just going to put the covers up. I haven't got all of the books around me, but Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And in this, there are different kinds of wishes, from very small wishes to very big wishes. A wish can only do so much, and you cannot combine a bunch of tiny wishes to make a bigger wish. I don't know, it's a really interesting constraint on a magic system, and the books kind of go into how wishes are made at a later point, and it's quite interesting. That's all I need to say on that one without spoiling it. But yeah, I just really liked the flexibility of that as a magic system, and the accessibility of it, that you didn't need special magical powers to do it. If you just had a wish, you could do it, and they become kind of a currency. Very, very interesting. Liked it a lot. That's not necessarily a magical ability, so maybe I'm twisting the prompt already on prompt number one, sorry Stephanie, but in terms of magic systems, that's one of my favourites. Prompt number two is Fitz, a book that made you cry. Fitz mostly annoyed me for most of the series, but I actually have to pull a Robin Hobb one for this one, because the book that has made me cry the most in recent years was Assassin's Fate, which is the last book in the whole kind of wider meta series. I wept for hours, and that may have been because I was doing the audiobook, so there was hours of time in which to endure the pain of that last book. But yeah, I cried a lot, and I don't know what else to say. I cried a lot. Prompt number three is The Fool, your favourite friendship or friend group. And I pondered a couple of these. There's the obvious ones. There's, I don't have it with me, so I don't know why I'm gesturing. The Crew of the Wayfarer from Becky Chambers, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Wonderful book. Just a really great found family kind of story. I love found family to pieces. It's one of my favourite things. But the one that actually initially sparked up for me is a book that I've only read once. I just remember it being a really lovely idea, and that is Undead Girl Gang. I can't even tell you who it's by, but it is a fun YA, Halloween-y, would be a great Halloween read, where a girl accidentally, if I'm remembering correctly, accidentally resurrects some people who in the past were very mean to her, and they have to get along and kind of solve whatever's going on. And it's just a really good female friendship written, teen female friendship. I very much enjoyed it. Yes, Halloween's coming up. It'll be great. Number four is Althea, your favourite protagonist. And this is a terribly mean question, a horrible question in fact. And I've been having a ponder about like really more what my favourite kind of protagonist is. And at the moment, my favourite kind of protagonist is lady scientists or lady scholars. A lady who loves to learn, especially in a world where that's not encouraged, is a great time. So at the moment I'm rereading the memoirs of Lady Trent, and Lady Trent is my favourite protagonist at the moment because that's what I'm reading. Women with a thirst for knowledge, that's my favourite protagonist type, and probably in 6 months it'll be back to girls with swords. So we flip between the two. If you can find me a lady scholar who also carries a sword, I'll be in debt to you forever. Ophelia, your favourite sassy character or funny book. I was pondering this, and I think the character with the tone that I've enjoyed the most recently has been Elle in Deadly Education and The Last Graduate, the Scholarmance series. The way that she's pitched is very good. I very much enjoy her way of wording things, and her response to situations is always good fun. I'm looking at them. Joe Abercrombie has a lot of humour in it, in a very, very miserable series. I think that, yeah, I'm gonna go with Elle from Scholarmance. That's going to be my pick for that one. The Six Duchies, your favourite magical world or setting. I had to really have a think about this one because I'm not a person who takes in setting particularly often. Like, I'd have to look at a map for a long time to really feel that. I really more think about like the smaller places where a character is. So homes, individual structures kind of thing. I think that, this might even be what Stephanie talked about in her video, I can't remember, but the world for the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin is absolutely fantastic, really interesting, loads of layers of different things happening in it. I think that's really solid. And in terms of just like a city, I can hold one up. Jade City, the world in this, the city in which these characters live, is really, really well done. And on the same level, Foundry Side has a really great sense of setting, even though it's sort of another fantasy book set in a city with a lot of canals, which there are a fair few of. So there's 3 options, maybe even more. Nighteyes, ugh, your favourite animal companion. Nighteyes is a very solid companion and would also be a contender for sassiest character, I mean. But I actually think Mogget from Sabriel, from the A Porcelain series by Garth Nix, is a really great animal companion. He's not really a familiar or pet in any way. He's more than that. And that's probably all I can say on that without giving too much away about Mogget. But yeah, cats make great animal companions. Dogs are fantastic, but you very rarely get them as animal companions in books, I think because they can't just go off and do their own thing that often. But please leave your recommendations for books with dogs as animal companions in the comments below. Brashen, your favourite love interest. I've talked before in tags, there's a lot of like, your book boyfriend or girlfriend, your book partner, who's your bookish crush? I don't really get those. Doesn't happen to me, it's just how I am, how I read books. But I was thinking about like one of my favourite love stories, and that is This Is How You Lose the Time War, and this is a novella, it's very short. I think I have a review up for it, I'm pretty sure I do. But this just has 2 people falling in love very slowly and from very different perspectives without really realising it, and I just found that a really compelling quiet romance. It's not a romance book, but it has a quiet romance within it, and I really found it enjoyable. Kyle, your favourite villain is prompt 9, I think. You're on 9? Yes. Kyle is one of the characters I have hated the most in reading a book, so it makes sense that this is his prompt, because he really just sucks. But I was thinking about villains and villains that you love, villains that you hate, villains that walk the line of like redemption and redemption arcs in general, and just thinking about antagonists and where they come from and when they're interesting. And it may be because I was glancing over at my shelves, but I was thinking about Addie LaRue purely in terms of antagonist. I think that there's a really interesting kind of story behind that, and the motivations behind that are really fascinating. So that would be a pick. I don't want to talk about like who the antagonist is in that story or what the antagonist is in that story. There's interesting stuff working against our main characters. Oh, I could also mention City of Lies, which is a bit of a who sieged it story, which has an interesting antagonist in that we do not really know who they are for a lot of the book, and the reason that they are being antagonistic is very interesting. So yeah, that would be another selection. But I talk about City of Lies all the time. Kennit, a character or book you love to hate. I do not love to hate Kennit, I just hate Kennit. If you've read the books, it should not be that hard to work out why I really dislike Kennit. I understand why people feel differently about that, but for me, Kennit is irredeemable in all ways. Just no to Kennit. No, no. A book that I currently love to hate, that I love to talk about, how much I dislike it, and I've talked about it to a number of people, and I'm so excited for it to be out in the world so I can talk more about all the reasons that I really didn't like it, is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Just no. Again, no to Kennit and no to this, for very different reasons. But no to this. 11. Vivacia, your favourite character that is a sentient object. And I have to go for spaceship in this one. Mbot from Brandon Sanderson's Skyward series is a fantastic sentient, arguably object, mode of transport, way of being. Mbot is fantastic. I just really enjoy Mbot. Sentient objects is hard. Again, Foundry Side has one that's really interesting. I feel like magical books. I must have read something with a magical book in it, but I can't think of any, so we're gonna have to go with that. This is what happens when you barely prep for a book tag. I'm supposed to tag people now, the trouble being that I've been tagged by the people who I would normally tag in this, which is usually what happens. So as ever, I'm going to fall back on my usual standard thing of, if you're watching this, consider yourself tagged. Do feel free to let me know if and when you've done this, because I would like to watch what your responses are. Do you also think Stephanie's an absolute meanie for putting so many favourites on this list? How am I meant to choose my favourite? There are so many good things out there. I'd be really interested to revisit this tag in like a year or so and see what's changed, because so often my responses to tags are based on the books that I am currently reading. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully you found this in some way interesting and or entertaining. I hope so. There will be sewing content at some point in the future alongside some bookish stuff. I'm very excited for that video. I just need the time to do it. There will also be dog footage hopefully very soon. Fingers crossed. Comment below, what is your favourite Robin Hobb book that you have read? If you've read no Robin Hobb, why not? What are your reasonings? I would love to know that as well. It's not to say you have to read them. I'm just interested to know why not. While you're down there commenting, be sure to subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on all of my social media. Come hang out on Discord. We have a wonderful time talking about books. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now.